I love slasher flicks, especially if they were made sometime in the 80s and take place at the summer camp. Fortunately for me, there are many movies that fit this bill, such as Friday the 13th and most of its sequels, The Burning, Madman, and tons of others. Without a doubt, that one of my favorite of all of the summer camp slasher flicks and my favorite movie of all time is Sleepaway Camp. There is so much that I love about Sleepaway Camp that I don't even know where to begin. I saw it for the first time when I was in middle school, and at it being my favorite movie since, it is one of those films that I could watch over and over and over again, and I have, and it never seems to get old. I hold it responsible for it being one of the main reasons that I love horror movies, so such that it will forever hold a special place in my heart. I have heard about lots of people claim that it's just another killer on the loose camp flick and that there's nothing to be special about. I couldn't disagree more with this, as I feel that there's something different and I can't quite explain about what makes it stand out. Yes, it has a similar plot as the other movies out there, but the writing of the characters, death scenes, and especially the ending helps put a class on its own. I have a friend who argues that it's just like a Friday the 13th ripoff, but in my opinion, he couldn't be more wrong. I love Friday the 13th, and I'm a huge fan of the series, but I just couldn't believe that Sleepaway Camp is a better movie. Man, I'm sure that I'm gonna get a lot of hate in the mail after that bold remark. One of the main things that makes it such a great movie is that the fact that it was a great cast of characters. Felissa Rose, who did excellent as the poor mistreated Angela, and she does a great job at playing the creepy old odd girl that just doesn't quite fit with anyone. She doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue, as she spends a lot of time of the movie just starting people in silence and making them feel uncomfortable. But once she does begin to speak, we can see that what she is a talented actress that she is. She has since gone on to other films and has become quite attractive young lady. Jonathan Tristan does another very equally impressive job as Ricky. He is an intense character, and you would have to say that he's protective of Angela. Plus, it's pretty cool that has such a foul mouth. If I have a son, I just hope he's like Ricky. While Tristan hadn't done much work in the film as Rose, he has gone into a pursuit in the career music. If you haven't checked out his band, Jonathan Tristan 10 Tears, yet I highly recommend that you do so, as they are extremely talented. These are the many wonderful characters such as Mel, a gruff camp owner Artie, the camp cook and creep Ronnie, and there's even the friendly head counselor, a clueless Kenny, and even his group of loser friends such as Aunt Martha, Ricky's cookie mother, who takes Angela at a young age, and Meg, a counselor who goes out of her way to make Angela's life miserable. Could someone explain to me why this is a thing for Mel? And other than Angela, Ricky is my favorite character is Judy, and he played perfectly by Karen Fields. Judy is the queen of the camp who becomes quickly the main source of Angela's torment. She is a fun character you just can't wait to see her die. I believe when I mean her death scene is that stays with you. I love Judy and think that any other character that is a gem, such as You're a Real Carpenter Dream, flat as a board and needs a screw, it can't be all that bad. I don't want to give anything away, but I feel that it's at least to mention something about the movie. The final scene is one of the most shocking events of the scenes of the history and movie you'll ever see. In a million years I saw it coming. I know I didn't. The conclusion was quite disturbing, and it stays with you long after the credits roll. If you couldn't tell that I'm a fan of Sleepaway Camp, I think it's one of the most underrated horror films of the 80s. But thanks to the internet and the establishment, had quite a cult following and was finally getting the recognition of its rumblings, and yet another installment in the future. Which is fine with me. They could continue making sequels until the end of time, as far as I'm concerned. But if you haven't seen this movie, I strongly urge you to do so, as it's truly a horror classic. After watching it, I guarantee you will never look at curling iron the same way again. If you haven't seen this movie, do not go any further than and watch it yourself. But if you have already, then here is the plot of the movie. In 1975, John Baker and his partner Lenny take John's children, Angela and Peter, on a boating trip near Camp Arawak. Angela and Peter prank their family by capsizing their boat in an attempt to swim ashore where Lenny is waiting for them. About a camp counselor, Mary Anna recklessly strikes John and one of the children with her speedboat, killing them instantly. 8 years later, in 1983, Angela lives with her aesthetic aunt, Dr. Martha Thomas, and Martha's son Ricky. Aunt Martha sends Angela to Camp Arawak for the first time, along with Ricky, who had attended the camp before. Angela's introverted nature makes her target of the ridicule and bullying. Most of her bunk mates, Judy and their counselor Meg. Angela's other counselors, Susie and the camp's head counselor Ronnie, do what they can to help. The cook Artie attempts to make Angela feels the moodest, but Ricky catches him, and Ricky and Angela run out. Later on, they see a figure curses and causes Artie to knock over a pot of boiling water and scald himself. The camp owner Mel calls it an accident. When the campers Kenny and Mike mock Angela, Ricky and his friend Paul fight them, and Paul befriends Angela when Kenny drowns, as his death is ruled an accident in Mel's insistence. Although Ronnie and the police of her Frank express doubt it, and Paul asks Angela to attend a film with him. After the campers and Billy, Lee, and Mike throw water balloons at Angela, Billy is then stung to death when someone traps him in a bathroom stall and opens a hive in it. Mel suspects is the killer in the camp. Now Angela and Paul's relationship is strained when Paul kisses her, as Angela has flashbacks when she and her sibling witnessed her father in bed with Lenny. Now Angela recoils him from Paul's advances and runs away. Judy seduces Paul and Angela finds them kissing, so Paul attempts to explain himself to Angela at the lake, but Judy and Meg shoo him away and throw Angela into the water. After Ricky rescues Angela, the children fling in sand at them. Ricky then comforts Angela, and swears revenge on their aggressors. Meg is soon stabbed to death in the shower while getting ready to meet Mel, and at the camp social, Paul apologizes to Angela and then asks him to meet her at the waterfront later. Mel then finds Meg's body and is convinced that Ricky is the killer, and the children who threw the sand at Angela and Ricky at Camp in the Woods with their counselor Eddie. The two of them ask them to take them back to camp, and he returns to find the four remaining children hacked to death with a hatchet. Now back at the camp, the killer enters Judy's cabin and murders her, inserting a lot of hot curling iron into her body while smoothing her with the pillow. Now the camp has been thrown into a panic, Nick thinking that Ricky is the killer. Mel then beats him, only to be shot by an arrow by the real killer. Now Frank is then called and searches for the counselors of the missing campers. Paul is at the bench with Angela, who suggests that they go skinny dipping, which Hank discovers Rickety as a conscious but alive. Ronnie and Susie then find Angela sitting on the bench and humming, with Paul, whose head has been resting on her lap as she strokes his hair, and they were only shocked when Angela then jumps out of her feet holding the hunting knife. Now dropping Paul's head, they discover that she is the only killer, but also a male. It is revealed in the flashback that Angela died in an accident with Pete, and Peter survived, but after his aunt Martha gains the custody of him, she raised Peter as a girl so she always wanted. Since he already had a son Rickety, Peter assumed that Angela's name, shocked, and Ronnie's exclaims, "How can it be? My God, she's a boy?" As what seemed to be the bloody covered Peter, Angela stands right before her, the horrified Susie and Ronnie, just while letting out an animalistic growling sound. Now here's where my story begins. If you go back and look at the ending scene of the film, and you'll see Peter's head all bandaged up, they then resume the movie and see Peter as Angela. You can only be clear and certain that the pattern taking the shape here. But here's my theory. The reason why Peter resembles Angela is because he had a plastic surgery done on him by Aunt Martha, who is clearly insane. In the flashback, she says, "I've always wanted a little girl, but of course when my husband left, she then cuts herself off by saying, "Oh well, that's all the water under the bridge, as I always say, water under the bridge. While you're standing and seeing the pattern right here, according to my theory, Aunt Martha might have murdered her husband and then hid the body so she can get Peter to lie about their husband's sudden disappearance. And also she said we also have a boy, who is another who simply would not to, oh, no, absolutely not. But what it also means that she also killed her son to replace him with Peter, who went under plastic surgery to resemble Angela. For those in the lines of dialogue who set some red flags off about all this, this has a lot of feminism written all over it, and even the clear sightings of child being in the fact that they've done plastic surgery on the little kid. Not only that, but went as far as to rid herself of the men, so that Peter and Angela and their daughter Bridget takes over the family home. Not only that she committed murder, but she just did herself with the spike pillar, which was about having a little fun in her time. I can't even describe how messed up it is. When it's clear that the girl is a boy after plastic surgery, something any child would not even dare to go through, it is something that hits you right there as a guilt just thinking about it. Now that we have a really backcrap crazy aunt who murdered her husband and son, now what are we going to do about this Frankenstein transevator? Well, why take him to the campground where he could be taken advantage and mentally and physically scared for life? Of course, this is where the events of the movies take off, with Angela or Peter getting bullied, and even violated by the cook and thrown into the water by what you could say Judy and her friend Meg. Sorry, I mean the other characters in this time, but non sensible, fury-inducing, loud-mouthed bastard that chewing up pieces of crap. But still, what do you expect from these characters like this? Anyway, back to my fury. After all the trauma Peter endured at her tremors, he must have had some sort of complete mental breakdown and run amok along the Camp Arawak and butcher them right and left. You see, the human mind can take up so much, and until it finally gets to the point where that person snaps. It's critical for anyone to endure much of what wacko, to go through much wacko like this. Pretty grim if you ask me. Once you watch Sleepaway Camp, just remember what happens behind closed doors, because if it happens in movies, it stays in the movies. And that, my little pretties, was Sleepaway Camp Fury, a Fury pasta written by TheDarkCat97. My final thoughts on the story? I really have to say, this is actually a really good Fury pasta. Everything that is described in this is actually pretty believable. It is messed up, and of course, this story was obviously messed up, but I definitely have to say that this story actually provides a pretty good theory as to what happened in the movie and why the movie was the way it was. Well, not really. It kind of, sits there and explains, some theories of what happened in certain parts. So I definitely have to say that right now. I really do like this. So I really do like the theory about this. But I really have to say, there are some things that I have questions on. Like, why did the movie ended up the way it is or something, or why that's the case. I'm not really sure. But I could definitely say this, that I actually really have not seen the Sleepaway Camp. I've not seen it. It actually looks pretty interesting, so I might consider it. Watching this, I have not watched Sleepaway Camp, and it looks pretty good, so I know there's some, there's some other movies right here besides the first movie. Well, there's the second movie, which I've not seen that one, or I've not seen the third one, but I also have not, seen the Return to Sleepaway Camp. I have not seen it yet, so I am going to have to consider sitting there and watching it, because I think it looks like a pretty good movie, so I might consider maybe having a look at it, and if it's any good, I will definitely consider, watching this movie. It looks pretty good, so I'm probably gonna have to find the time to sit there and do it. It looks really well made in detail. I have not seen this movie in like, well, I've not seen the movie at all, but it looks pretty good. So I am definitely gonna have to sit there and, well, watch this movie. So yeah, if you guys have seen this movie, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I would really like to, well, see it. It looks pretty amazing and really well done. So I really have to say, I really do find this to be rather amazing, especially with the whole concept of it went out. It's really amazing. Like, I like a lot of movies from the 80s, so I definitely have to say it's still a pretty good story. I really do like this one. So I really had a pretty good concept, and I really do like how this went out. I like this Fury. Like, I know the Dark Cat has wrote a couple pastas in the past. This one actually was a pretty good Fury. I could honestly maybe see this being the case. Like, I could honestly see this being the case. It's flat out amazing. Really do like how, everything went out. It actually provides pretty good detail. And sorry if you're hearing background noises. My dog is just kind of bored. I might have to let him out of my bedroom. But anyway, with that being the case, I really enjoyed this movie. Well, enjoyed this pasta. Now, the grammar was really good. I'm not going to lie. The sentence structuring was pretty good. The detailing of this was just, oh my god, it's just amazing. I really enjoyed this. It's actually provided pretty good detail. Really do find this movie to be rather enjoyable. I really do like this movie. So I guess, anyways, with that being the case, with that being said, I'm gonna sit there and, kind of wrap this up because I kind of explained, what I liked about it. Now, I don't really see anything negative or anything I did not like about this story. I can't really seem to find it. Maybe if I did see it, maybe if someone could point it out what you didn't like about this this story, feel free to let me know. But other than that, I really liked it. So anyways, that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit there and wrap up this review, because there's like nothing really much to talk about, but it's a pretty good movie. Well, pretty good pasta, actually. And I've not seen the movie, but it looks like a pretty good one. So anyways, with that being the case, or that being said, I'm going to sit there and say this right now, and like I always continue to say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be a 10 out of 10. Really good story. The Fury is very believable. I really do like, how there's a lot of time and effort into it. I like it that there's like a lot of detail being put into it. I love the fact that, the story was amazing. I like the grammar, which is fantastic. The sentence structure worked out well, and the paragraph structuring was really amazing. I really do found this story to be rather enjoyable. It's a pretty enjoyable story. I really think this story did pretty good. So I guess with that being the case, and that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta or Fury pasta, whatever you guys prefer to call this one? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.